some major archaeological discoveries at a site near Jerusalem known as Lifta.
Instrumentalized for political purposes. This is a recurring theme in the Israeli-Palestinian conflict.
People have been living here for thousands of years thanks to natural spring water flowing through the area. Located on the outskirts of Jerusalem, Lifta is mentioned in the Old Testament as part of the territory of the tribe of Judah. And archaeologists even found remnants dating back to the biblical era. In the Bible, it's known as Mei Neftoach.
Have you ever heard of the Richa structure, which is also known as the Eye of the Sahara? This natural wonder stands out in the western Sahara Desert of Mauritania. Its huge, almost circular shape makes it stand out, and it covers 40 kilometers of empty land. However, it's not just the size of this place that amazes me. It's also how much it looks like what Plato called the lost city of Atlantis. The next time you talk about Atlantis with a researcher, they might just roll their eyes. However, the Eye of the Sahara's mysterious concentric rings match remarkably well with Plato's account of Atlantis as a capital city, with rings of water and land that alternated. It looks like the building is nature's version of a city plan, made by the constant forces of wind and water instead of people. Why doesn't everyone know about this place? Imagine a huge dome that can be seen from space. Over thousands of years, its layers have been peeled away, showing a pattern that is both unique and very old. Think about this. The largest circle is made up of Proterozoic quartzite, a rock that is so strong it has been around for over 600 million years. More deeply, you'll find layers of sandstone and limestone that each tell a different story about the history of Earth. A jumbled mix called siliceous breccia is at the center of the Risham structure. It suggests a rough natural past, maybe even volcanic activity. It's not just a geological wonder, it's like looking through the pages of a book about Earth's past. It took a long time to build this building. Imagine tectonic plates moving and climates changing over millions of years. Each of these things shaped this beautiful rock in its own way. The circle shape is so clear that astronauts use it as a guide. This brings up an interesting question that researcher Jimmy Corsetti brought up. Could people from long ago have had an effect on its formation? Now switch to the Sahara Desert, which is the big dry part of the Rishat scheme. It's strange that this wasn't always a desert. This area was very green and lush, up until about 5,000 years ago. The fact that the land went from being fertile to a desert adds another layer to this mystery. If you want to know more about these things and other curious facts about our existence, don't forget to subscribe and hit that like button, because you are not alone anymore. Then Plato comes into the picture. The things he said about Atlantis, a civilization with lots of resources and advanced technology, stay in the back of our minds as we look at the Rishat structure. Even though Atlantis was in the Atlantic Ocean and the Rishat were in the Sahara, fans can't help but wonder if there is a link. There's more to the Eye of the Sahara than just a natural feature. It's a way to start a talk, a link between the past and the present, and it encourages us to question and explore. It's a warning that Earth has mysteries that we are only now starting to figure out. What do you think? Is the Eye of the Sahara story more than it seems? Now here it is. Now learn more about the secrets of the Eye of the Sahara. Stone tools, arrowheads, and pieces of pottery are spread out across the land, telling stories of hunts and daily life from many years ago. But it's not just these objects that interest us. The idea of long-term villages really gets our attention. Could this place have been more than just a rest stop for nomads? Could it have been the center of a bustling neighborhood? The rock art comes next. There are paintings and carvings of antelopes, elephants, and people on the cave walls and rock faces right next to the Riche structure. These drawings aren't just odd thoughts. They're glimpses into the minds of people who lived here in the past, when the Sahara was full of life. But what's interesting isn't just what's shown. These pictures show snapshots of a lively, changing society. But let's go further. There is a constant whisper about secrets buried in the desert sands that gets lost in all the talk about history. What's that sand really hiding? It's like the Sahara is keeping things secret, maybe even the remains of long-lost cities. Since we're talking about cultures, let's move on to Nubia. This isn't just a part of African history. It's a whole story that goes back to ancient times and continues through the Middle Ages. The story of Nubia takes place along the Nile and shows a society that was very cultural, very strong in battle and very good at building things. It had huge pyramids, busy trade routes, and gold mines, all of which show how grand it was and how important it was for trade between countries. On the other hand, some doubters say that societies that lived so long ago could not have built something as impressive as the Sphinx or the Nubian mounds. That is, until Göbekli Tepe showed up and changed everything we thought was possible in an ancient building. This site has been hidden for a long time and has many mysteries that make us think our ancestors may have been smarter than we think. Also, isn't it interesting? Around the world, from Cusco to Turkey, buildings with similar styles have been built. This suggests that individuals may have learned from or influenced one another. Then there's trade. Roman coins and African artifacts found in Nubia show that this society was very linked to trade networks around the world. However, let us not forget about the scenery. With its prehistoric art, Tassili N'Ajjer is more than just a museum of old life. It's a way to see scenes from our own time, thousands of years ago. It's not just about history, it's also about putting together pieces of history from different times and places and thinking about what all people have in common. Is there a story buried beneath the sand? That is the big question we are all thinking about as we look at the Sahara, the eye, and the signs of ancient societies. We become a part of a bigger story that spans countries and time periods as we look into these mysteries. Isn't that interesting? What do you think? Could there be facts that haven't been found yet, waiting quietly under the shifting sands? Images from the past show how people moved from wild hunts to a more settled life as shepherds in the vast Sahara. Imagine that Tassili N'Ajjer is home to art that dates back thousands of years and shows how the people who lived there in the past lived their daily lives. People and animals that have been carved into stone here tell the quiet stories of their time. But isn't it interesting that this isn't just a heritage of art? It's a real link to our past, as tools and pottery found by archaeologists show that people have always lived there, from simple hunter-gatherers to complex, settled groups. Now think about how important it is to protect this kind of history. In 1982, Tassili N'Ajjer was named a UNESCO World Heritage Site, which showed how important it is on a global scale. But how do we find a balance between preserving things and the damage that nature forces and modern tourism do? Think about how difficult it is to raise awareness while also protecting the very core of what we want to show. Think about the Sahara of today, which is often thought of as a sea of sand that never ends. But what if I told you that fossils and isotopic signatures have been used to reveal a hidden part of Earth's past that lies beneath these shifting dunes? The Sahara wasn't always a lifeless wasteland. Fossils of aquatic animals found in the area show that it used to have rivers and lush vegetation. Have you ever thought about how greatly our planet can change? Let's go from the sands of the desert to the mysterious underground world of Derinkuyu in Cappadocia, Turkey. Far below the surface, this old city, carved out of the ground, gave shelter and food to thousands of people. Its architectural brilliance lies not only in its ability to shelter, but also in the intricate social systems it supported, which showed that the people who lived there knew how to live underground. But as we learn more about the past, we can't help but wonder, what drove these old builders to hide deep in the earth? And what do the deepest parts of Derinkuyu still hide? The parts of Derinkuyu that have been explored amaze us with how smart and ahead of their time they were. However, many parts of this underground city are still a secret because they are locked up for safety reasons today. What stories from the past could these closed-off hallways tell us? And how does Derinkuyu fit into the bigger picture of how strong people are and how amazing buildings are? It's a reminder of how clever people were in the past and how the story of human survival and adaptation is always changing. But as we learn more about these old secrets, we need to ask ourselves, what are we leaving behind for future generations? Going into the depths of Derinkuyu makes us think of stories of safety and escape. It's a place full of mystery and intrigue, and it's not just a safe place from physical dangers. It could also be a safe place from aliens or a secret chapter of a lost advanced society. These kinds of thoughts may not fit on a normal archaeological map, but they show how curious we are and how much we want to know about the unknown. Derinkuyu is more than just a network of rooms and tunnels. It represents how people can keep going even when things get hard. Can you picture a time when your faith could put your life in danger? In these very bad times, the first Christians in Derinkuyu found comfort and safety below the ground. They turned this underground world into a secret symbol of their faith by making places to worship where no one could see them. Not only did they have to stay alive, but they also had to protect their values and way of life. Derinkuyu's connections to other underground towns show that it is not alone but part of a thriving community that trades, talks, and helps each other. There was a society that was hidden but very much alive, with complicated social structures and a strong desire to protect and support their community. This underground network is proof of that. When it is found again in modern times, Derinkuyu goes from being a long-lost artifact to a worldwide attraction that shares its secrets with everyone and helps us understand our past. Derinkuyu is a UNESCO World Heritage Site that shows not only how people used technology in the past, but also how we all share a common history. Now let's change the subject from the mysterious tunnels of Turkey to the strange buildings of ancient Egypt. There are still big granite blocks in the king's chamber of the Great Pyramid that amaze and puzzle people. How did the builders of the past move and place these huge stones so high up? The accuracy and size of this room make us think about the technology and skills that people used in the past. Now think about what this huge, fancy room is for. It's not just a place to die, it's a show of power, knowledge, and connection with the universe. From the way it was built to the materials used, the king's chamber shows that the people who lived there were very advanced for their time. The Grand Gallery, which leads to the king's chamber, is a work of architecture in and of itself, showing how skilled the Egyptians were at building and how well they understood how things should look and work. This isn't just a passageway, it's a trip through skill, creativity, and maybe even spiritual growth. Finally, there's the mysterious Queen's Chamber, a room that makes us wonder what it's really for. Was it a serdab for the Ka statue, a symbolic room, or a part of a complicated rite about the afterlife? Each theory gives us a different look into Egyptian society, which is very complex and includes both spiritual and physical aspects. In the shadow of these ancient wonders, we are reminded of how people have always been looking for ways to understand, protect themselves, and show themselves. Even though they were built thousands of miles apart and in very different ways, Derinkuyu and the Great Pyramid both honor human creativity, strength, and the desire to leave a mark on the world that will last forever. As we learn more about these amazing things, we not only learn about the past, but we also think about our own place in the big story of society. What role do our own ideas and works play in this big picture of human history? People have proposed ancient aliens or technologically advanced lost societies as possible explanations for Derinkuyu's mysteries, but archaeologists do not support these theories. In the depths of Anatolia, this underground city tells stories of people who are strong. Derinkuyu was more than just a place to hide. It was a place where culture and faith were nurtured during times of persecution, and it showed how creative the people in Cappadocia were with their building designs by connecting underground towns. Derinkuyu was rediscovered in 1963 and is now a UNESCO World Heritage Site, which shows how people can come up with new ideas when they are under pressure. This real-life school teaches us about how to survive in the past, work together, and build things. But let's move on from these secret natural wonders to the beautiful buildings of ancient Egypt. We are amazed by how grand and mysterious the king's chamber is inside the Great Pyramid. How were the Egyptians able to move such huge blocks so high up? The complex way this chamber is put together makes me think of deep symbolic and celestial connections. The Grand Gallery, which leads to this room, is a great example of ancient Egyptian architecture. It may have been a way for the pharaoh to get to the afterlife. Meanwhile, the Queen's Chamber, with its mysterious niche and corbelled roof, is still a mystery that makes people argue about what it was really used for and how smart the makers must have been. From Derinkuyu's underground sanctuary to the Great Pyramid's heavenly tunnels, these ancient wonders remind us of how we are always trying to learn more about our past and how far people will go to show their beliefs, power, and knowledge. They make us think about what we've done to change history and what we'll leave behind for future generations to find and understand. Derinkuyu's mysterious past has led to many theories, ranging from alien bases to the remains of a long-gone, advanced society. Even though they are just guesses, these thoughts show how interested we are in the unknown and bring out the mystery of Derinkuyu. As an underground sanctuary, Derinkuyu tells the story of people's desire to preserve and express themselves, showing how deep Anatolian history and buildings go. This underground shelter, built between the 1st and 3rd centuries AD, protected early Christians from Roman oppression and was a holy place for worshiping in secret and living together. Cappadocia's political and social importance can be seen in the city's role in a larger network. This shows how creative and cooperative people were in the past. Derinkuyu was found again in 1963 and is now a UNESCO World Heritage Site, known all over the world as a symbol of human resiliency and creativity. It's a great way to learn about old life, how people survived, and how societies were organized. Graham Hancock's ideas about lost civilizations and disasters go against what most archaeologists think we know. He says that places like the Osiris Shaft might hold the keys to understanding ancient global cultures. His idea that sites like Göbekli Tepe show signs of a sophisticated prehistoric society makes us rethink human history and how we think about the technologies and social structures of the past. Even though these topics are often argued over, they go beyond the usual methods of archaeology and encourage a deeper look into the mysteries of ancient people and our planet's past. The lost city of Derinkuyu, which is in the Cappadocia area of Turkey, is a great example of how resilient people can be and how creative architects can be. Ancient builders worked very hard to make this safe underground space. It shows how far people were willing to go to protect their towns, cultures, and beliefs. When you look into Derinkuyu, you can't help but be amazed at how carefully and ahead of time it was built. It shows that the people who lived there were able to do complex planning and amazing building feats. Derinkuyu wasn't just a safe place to hide underground. It was a fully working city with multiple levels that went deep into the ground and could hold up to 20,000 people. With its air shafts, water wells, and common areas, this underground complex shows that the people who lived there knew a lot about controlling the environment, planning cities, and running communities. It shows that ancient societies were much smarter than we usually think. With its network of tunnels and access points, the city's layout also shows a very strategic approach to defense, which lets the people who live there feel safe even when there is a danger of invasion. The huge stone doors that could keep outsiders out of the city show how creative the people who lived there were in making a safe place that could last for a long time. The finding of Derinkuyu has made people wonder if there are other underground cities that haven't been found yet. This suggests that there was a complex network of underground homes all over ancient Anatolia. Each find in Derinkuyu adds a new piece to the puzzle of human history and makes us think about how ancient societies worked and what they could do. Another amazing piece of ancient building, Göbekli Tepe, adds to the complexity of the story of how people evolved. This site, which is in what is now Turkey, was built more than 6,000 years before Stonehenge, and is one of the earliest examples of monumental building that we know of. Göbekli Tepe, unlike Derinkuyu, wasn't a city or a safe place to stay. Instead, it was a place for ceremonies, which suggests that religious or ritual meetings were very important in early human society. The huge stone pillars at Göbekli Tepe are arranged in a circle shape. They have intricate carvings of animals and abstract symbols on them, which suggests that the people who lived there had a deep spiritual link with nature. These carvings, which could be totems, gods, or ideas about the universe, show that spiritual and ceremonial practices were important to this community's identity and unity. Göbekli Tepe was buried on purpose around 8000 BCE, which adds to its wonder by suggesting that the site was closed on purpose and kept safe for thousands of years. This act of preservation shows a deep respect for the site and its meaning, which shows how important ceremonial spaces were to early human societies. Both Derinkuyu and Göbekli Tepe go against common stories about how civilizations developed over time. Derinkuyu's underground complexity and ability to survive on its own make us question what we think we know about how ancient people built things. and organize their societies. At the same time, Göbekli Tepe's huge size and intricate carvings, which were made by a group of hunter-gatherers, challenged the idea that farming was necessary for complicated societies to form. These sites show that the desire to use architecture to protect, worship, and show community identification goes back to before many of the events that are usually thought of as the start of civilization. They show that people can come up with new ideas, work together, and share their spirituality in ways that go beyond time, and question the idea that technology and society have always changed in a straight line. Derinkuyu and Göbekli Tepe are more than just amazing historical sites. They are also stories carved into stone that show how strong, creative, and spiritual people were in the past. They remind us of how complicated early human societies were and how long people have been trying to make the world better, protect it, and understand it. As we keep finding these ancient wonders, they tell us that history is a mosaic of what people have done and the mysteries that still need to be solved.